Hello and welcome to the session about resilience in the times of pandemic. Today I have with me, hello Zoe, very happy to have you here today. Zoe Beck is a publisher from Germany, but she's not just a publisher, she is also an award-winning author and translator. So she can look at the perspective in Germany from all angles. So Zoe, thank you so much. Can you tell us a little bit about the situation for publishers in Germany at this time, at this difficult time within the pandemic?
Oh, yes. Actually, it is a difficult time, or rather it has been, especially in March and April, when there was some kind of lockdown, or a so-called lockdown, and all the bookshops were closed. This was the time when publishers were really worried about how it's going to be like in the future for the next few months. And most of us, I think, decided to postpone the publication of many, many books. We did not know what was going to happen with Canada as the guest of honor for the Frankfurt Book Fair. We did not know what to do with the Canadian titles, whether to publish them or whether to maybe do them a year later. So for us, it was a rather difficult time. It was a time of decision making without knowing anything. And I think it became a little bit better during the summer months. But so from what I heard from other publishers, is that the situation could have been much, much worse, and it was kind of okay-ish the way it is now, even though we still don't know how the whole year is going to look like. But altogether, it could have been worse. It is not ideal, and it hasn't been ideal, but it certainly could have been worse. For us, as a smaller publisher, it was not only sad, but really, really a bad situation that we could not go to all the smaller book fairs all over the country because they simply did not take place. And going to smaller book fairs means selling, for example, books from our backlist. This simply did not happen this year. We could not, of course, go to the bigger book fairs, to the Frankfurt Book Fair, because it was only a digital kind of meeting. And then, of course, you notice all the things you're missing out, all the things that are usually happening at a book fair like this. And so what we did was we focused on the digital market, for example, on our ebooks. And this is a segment that really did well during this so-called lockdown. I think this is, we did not gain new ebook readers. So even though you would think, okay, there is a pandemic going on and people cannot go shopping and like to stay inside, so they buy an e-reader and suddenly become new digital readers. This has not happened for whatever reason, but those who already like reading ebooks, they bought more ebooks. And I think this is what happened with many readers, that they simply bought more books. But still, it's not that that the German book market like exploded. This certainly did not happen.
Mm-hmm. And your books, your printed books, how did the sales of printed books go up or down?
All I can say is it could be worse, but it could certainly be better. We were lucky that in spring we published 2 books, and the first one already got press coverage before the lockdown. So we were really lucky in that case. And then, of course, there were weeks and months without anything happening in the press. And we could not do anything. We couldn't do any readings. We couldn't do any book presentations. So we were quite nervous about this second title. But then again, we were quite lucky, I have to say that, because press coverage started a few months later in summer. During summer, this book was quite well reviewed in the media. I think because of the topic, because it was about women in an Indian woman in oh my goodness, häusliche Gewalt,
domestic violence.
Domestic violence. Oh my goodness. Right, and domestic violence, of course, was a topic during the pandemic, during the lockdown, and so this is why it got press coverage. And so again, we were lucky, and we got okay-ish sales for this book. But as I said, it probably would have been better if the bookshops hadn't been closed for a certain time. But again, it could be worse. It could be much worse.
We heard that the bookshops in Germany were praised quite a bit on different levels. Why is that?
What the German, I have to say, the independent German bookshops did was absolutely amazing. I think there was kind of a short period of kind of depressed behavior during the first or maybe the first 2 weeks. But what these bookshop owners did was they were coming up with new ideas, with excellent ideas on how to contact their customers, how to connect with them, how to keep in touch with them. And they said, okay, if you want to buy books, you can still do it. You can just give us a call or order them online, or just send us an email, whatever, and we will come to your address, to your house, by bike, by whatever, and just leave it in front of your door, and you send us the money, and we trust you, you trust us. And so this is actually what happened. They found new ways of how to deliver books without having to keep the stores open. And at the same time, all those lovely readers, they really wanted to support their local bookstores. And this is why they accepted all these offers. And this is why they even bought more books, and they probably bought books they never would have bought if there hadn't been a pandemic or whatever. So for them, for those independent bookshops with these really wonderful, I mean, it's just very, very small ideas. It's very little. When I say, well, they decided to deliver books by bike, for example. It's not a groundbreaking idea, but they just signaled that they can do something, and they're willing to do something, and they don't just want to sit around and be in a bad mood over this pandemic. And so for them, I think it was the best thing to do, and it was much appreciated. The bigger stores, those that are, for example, located in the shopping malls, for them it was actually it was a much bigger problem, because people do not want in these times, they just do not want to enter shopping malls. And then another thing is that these shops are so big, so that the customers don't necessarily have a closer connection with the people working there. Well, it can happen, but it's not. They don't necessarily have regular customers. They sometimes do, but most of the time they don't. And so they could not establish such close contact with their customers, and they really had to close the shops. Because of their locations in the shopping malls.
I see,
so they did not do that as well as the smaller shops. They were more agile. They had more chances to get over over this time of this lockdown.
Okay, I see. Thank you. And we also want to know a little bit about what the situation means for you as an author and also translator.
The thing is, I mean, as a writer, as a translator, you spend lots of time at home anyway. So you are in a more or less constant kind of lockdown situation. You're so used to working from home and to not leaving the house all the time and not seeing many people. So social distancing is not really anything new for people like us. But what is really hard is that there are no readings. My current book was published in June, and I could hardly do any readings. There were a few readings during August and September, but after that, of course, everything is cancelled. I can't do anything. I can't really communicate with an audience. So this isn't just sad. This is, even for the sales, it's really bad. As a translator, yes, I think all of us translators, we notice that the publishers have become a little more careful when it comes to buying new books. They simply buy less licenses. Yeah, and again, as a writer, you can feel that there is a certain hesitation from all the publishers to talk about new books, to talk about new contracts. So there is a tendency to be really careful and to really take the time to see how things are developing. And what I heard from, for example, literary agents was that they could hardly sell any new stuff and that the situation was rather dire for them.
And for your books, were licenses sold to other countries?
To other countries, no. No. And so when I asked her, so what is going on? Isn't there any interest in anything? The answer was, we don't know, because we simply did not meet all these people because the London Book Fair didn't take place. So everybody was waiting for the Frankfurt Book Fair to take place, and then the Frankfurt Book Fair did not take place. And yes, I know you can send all these, you can send all the information via email to your partners in other countries, but it's not the same. Talking about it and making people interested in something, it's different when you meet in person. It is.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, we already came to the end of our time.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing this information with us, and hopefully
Thank you
things
for the
will.
invitation.
Thank you for joining. Bye.
Bye.
Mengawali hari dengan informasi terkini, menjadi sumber referensi dan inspirasi di setiap aktivitas. Melalui news video portal, segala informasi dapat disajikan cepat, akurat dan lengkap. Dengan kekuatan teknologi digital, Midcom.id hadir dengan berita pilihan yang dikemas secara menarik. Midcom.id, digitally inspire people.
Sudah 15 menit, masih kejebak macet.
Tenang, daripada emosi, 15 menit Anda jadi lebih berharga kalau bersama saya.
15 Minutes, setiap Rabu, jam 6 sore lewat 45 menit. Mediaindonesia.com hadir dengan opini cerdas dan narasumber kredibel, mudah diakses, informasi berkualitas ada di genggaman Anda. Klik di browser Anda, www.mediaindonesia.com. Dan temukan pandangan berbeda, karena fakta bisa sama, sudut pandang boleh beda. Mediaindonesia.com, Views and News.
Dalam setiap denyut kota, saya selalu menjadi saksinya. Disiarkan lebih dari 20 televisi jaringan Jawa Pos Group. Jawa Pos TV, paling Indonesia. Kebebasan pers dan gelombang era digital menghadirkan ribuan bahkan jutaan informasi dan data setiap harinya. Beragam data dan informasi berserak di berbagai tempat seiring dengan perubahan dunia yang bergerak begitu cepat. Media-media baru pun bermunculan, namun kualitas informasi seolah tak lagi menjadi prioritas. Bahkan, tak sedikit yang abai pada etika jurnalisme. Untuk menjawab tantangan itu, Kata Data hadir sejak April 2012 sebagai portal media di bidang ekonomi dan bisnis. Beragam sektor diulas mulai dari finansial, energi, pangan, hingga industri kreatif dan digital. Artikel mendalam dan komprehensif dengan sajian infografik yang menarik menjadi karakter utama dari Kata Data. Kata Data berikhtiar untuk terus menyajikan beragam informasi berkualitas untuk kemajuan negeri dan untuk kepentingan bisnis Anda. Kami percaya demokrasi yang sehat tumbuh dari kehadiran informasi dan data yang akurat.
Kalau bicara pakai data.
Hidup terlalu pendek untuk membiarkan pemikiran-pemikiranmu, ide-idemu terdiam begitu saja. Untuk berubah, kita perlu melangkah. Dan langkah itu lahir dari sebuah inspirasi. Republika, start moving.